They say the stars are silent, but those who listen deeply know better. Because buried in the desert cliffs of Mali, in the heart of West Africa, lives a tribe whose memory has not faded, a people untouched by modern education, yet somehow in possession of knowledge so precise, so advanced it shouldn't exist. They are the Dogon, and what they remember challenges everything we believe about time, contact, and who we really are. For generations, the Dogon have passed down oral teachings, rituals, carvings, dances, masks, maps, all woven with a singular truth, that long ago they were visited by beings from the stars, not angels, not myths, messengers. The Dogon named them the Nommo, radiant amphibious entities said to have descended in a spinning, sound-making vessel. They came not to conquer, but to restore order. They came from a specific star system, one the Dogon identified clearly and repeatedly: Sirius. But not the bright star we see in the sky. The Dogon pointed to Sirius B, a white dwarf star invisible to the naked eye, and said, "That's where the Nommo came from." Now here's where the ground shakes. Modern science didn't confirm the existence of Sirius B until the mid-1800s, and its mass, density, and orbit weren't accurately measured until the 1970s. Yet the Dogon already knew it was small, dense, incredibly heavy, and orbited Sirius A every 50 years. They had no telescopes, no written language, and no contact with Western astronomers. And yet their description of a binary star system, with precise celestial mechanics, matches exact scientific data. So how did they know? When asked, they don't hesitate. The Nommo told them. These beings didn't just deliver cosmic facts, they delivered a way of life. The Nommo, according to the Dogon, were water-dwelling, luminous, serpentine beings, part humanoid, part aquatic. They were teachers. They came from a planet orbiting Sirius B, a watery world once warmed by its star. But Sirius B, like all stars, changed. Once a life-giving sun, it collapsed into a dense white dwarf, a stellar corpse. When that happened, the Nommo's world may have become uninhabitable. And so they left, not as wanderers, but as preservers of memory. And Earth, our Earth, became their next water world. But here's where the story breaks through metaphor and begins to mirror something deeper. Because the Dogon didn't just receive astronomy, they received structure. The Nommo taught them when to plant, when to harvest, and how to align with the rhythms of the stars. This was not farming. This was celestial harvesting, living in synchronization with Sirius's rise, the phases of the moon and the cycles of the soul. They were taught that life is a spiral, not a line. That duality is divine. Everything has a twin, visible and invisible, sun and shadow, Sirius A and Sirius B. Just like us, our outer form and the soul within. The Nommo gave them sacred language, not letters, but vibration, symbols, geometry. Their masks, their dances, their calendar, all encoded with cosmic law. They were taught that the soul doesn't learn, it remembers. And that remembrance is what draws us back to our divine origin. Let's pause here, because that's not just a story, that's a system. A star-aligned, soul-awakening system passed down from beings who fled the ruins of a dying sun. Now ask yourself, how could a remote tribe hold this knowledge? Skeptics claimed it came from missionaries or colonial scholars, but the Dogon's accounts predate contact. And more importantly, their wisdom is not superficial. It's integrated into their agriculture, rituals, and daily life in ways that no outsider could fabricate. So let's step into the science. Sirius A and B, what we know today. Sirius A is the brightest star in our sky. Massive, radiant, and relatively young. Sirius B is a collapsed white dwarf, tiny, hot, and unimaginably dense, about the size of Earth, but with the mass of our sun. They orbit one another in a 50-year cycle. Modern instruments confirmed this system exactly as the Dogon described. But here's what we don't yet know. Have we discovered planets in the Sirius system? No, not yet, but that doesn't mean they don't exist. Detecting planets around a white dwarf is incredibly difficult, especially near a blazing star like Sirius A. Still, many astronomers believe planets could have existed around Sirius B before its collapse. And if they did, the Nommo story may not just be myth, it may be ancestral memory of a real exodus from a collapsing world to a new one. And now, a deeper question arises. If the Nommo fled Sirius B, and Earth was their next home, where are they now? Could they be living beneath the ocean, hidden in vast underwater cities where even modern sonar cannot penetrate? Could they be buried beneath Antarctica, under miles of ice and secrecy? Could they be the very watchers behind ancient spiritual awakenings, guiding from behind the veil? The Dogon never claimed they vanished. They simply said the Nommo will return. But what if they never left? And maybe, just maybe, they're not watching us. Maybe they're waiting for us to remember. Because the Dogon didn't build temples to worship them. They didn't write texts. They preserved the signal in rhythm, ritual, and sacred timing. Not to control, but to keep the map intact, a map of memory. And maybe that's the real truth buried beneath it all. That the greatest knowledge isn't taught, it's planted. And when the stars align, it returns. This is sacred truth. So now you must decide, was this all coincidence? Did a remote tribe fabricate star data, celestial mechanics, and philosophical depth centuries before modern science? Or did the Dogon receive a transmission that we are only now ready to decode? Either way, this story isn't over. Because if the Nommo came here and if they brought a blueprint for life in harmony with the cosmos, then the real question becomes, not just where are they now, but how do we summon them? Subscribe to access the next video where we will dive deep into this mystery. Share your curiosity and insights in the comments. Until next time, question everything.